Hello, and welcome to Spirit Island Saturdays, where we play Spirit Island on Saturday. I am the host, Logic Dolphin, the host today, as my colleagues have gotten themselves busy. Well, more like John is out of town and Seamus has, family stuff going on. So it's just me playing Spirit Island with my friends. And speaking of which, hi Seamus. Anyway, Handelabra believes in civil rights for everyone and in being as inclusive as possible, so any comments or activity actively working against those goals are not welcome and will not be tolerated. You can follow us at Handelabra Games on Twitch and Handelabra on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can follow me personally at Logic Dolphin on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube, pretty much any avenue. Sentinels of the Multiverse, Bottom of the Ninth, One Deck Dungeon, Aeon's End, and Spirit Island are all available on Steam, iOS, and Android devices, and One Deck Dungeon is also available on Switch. And you can find more information on those games at handelabra.com. Alright, so it is just me by my lonesome. So what do I want to do today? I was thinking I would just do a quick play thing, because I like going into a random game. We'll see what I get thrown into. Let's do... I don't want to do 4. I don't want to do 1. Let's do 2. I'll do 8 to 10. And we're doing Brandenburg, Prussia 4 with Rituals of the Destroying Flame. Cool. So Brandenburg, Prussia 4. So we have an extra town and land 3. Escalation adds a town to a land without towns, but only on each board with a building. We have 4/4/3 fear cards. And the invader deck has been thinned down to 1/1/3/2/2/2/3/3/3/3. Cool. Ritual of the Destroying Flame. Ah. This one. Oh boy! Oh boy! So whenever anything would damage or destroy invaders, ignore that damage or destruction unless there is a flame marker within range 1 or the spirit using the power or ability pays 2 energy. Non-spirit effects, any spirit may pay the energy. 2 energy covers a single counterattack, a single land affected by a main Dahan token event, or a single land affected by a fear card. Any invaders left in an illegal state are moved to the closest land they can legally be in. We do not have ocean here. We have shadows and Sneck. Invaders are similarly immune to any effects which would happen instead of damage or destruction, such as Bringer's fake damage. Each turn after all growth is done, 1 or more spirits may perform the Ritual of the Destroying Flame. Each spirit performing the ritual forgets a power card that grants fire and chooses a land where they have presence. Add a flame marker and a blight. Gain energy equal to the current invader stage. And if there are invaders in the land, do fear equal to the current invader stage and 1 damage per Dahan present. Interesting. So yeah, 2 turns are removed, and also we can't deal damage unless we spend 2 energy or place down a ritual, or place down a flame marker. The scenario I played once before. Scenario I've admitted that I'm not too keen on. Most scenarios tend to give you downsides and upsides. This is primarily downside. The only real upside is we gain energy for placing our ritual down, and we get to do damage to invaders in that land, but downside is pretty tremendous, and this is why it's difficulty 3. Alright, so some things to consider. Of course, we have spirits that are very bad at getting energy. Well, not bad. So like, obviously, like, Shadows wants to destroy explorers, but currently can't because he would have to spend 2 energy to do so. And Serpent sometimes deals damage to towns. He can at least defend, but we can't do damage in a counterattack without spending energy or placing down a ritual. What is it called? I want to say ritual. It's a ritual of the destroying flame. You can perform the ritual and add a flame marker. Let's call them flame markers instead of rituals. I don't know. Okay, but yeah, like technically, like Serpent can get 4 energy per turn, and Shadows can get 3 energy per turn on turns that he's not reclaiming. So now Shadows does get pretty good energy increase, but kind of seems like the course of action is probably going to be to set down the ritual markers. We do, of course, have Shadows, who comes with fire cards, and Serpent, who comes with fire cards. So we do have that right now. Yeah, two presence on energy track, and he's getting 3 energy per turn. Ordinarily, the way I would play Shadows is to get to 3 card plays, taking off of this track, so we get energy that way, and then start going up the energy track, but not sure that that's what we're going to be doing, no. I mean, yeah, so we could just, instead of placing flame markers, just spend energy, but it seems to be really expensive to want to do that. Let's see, the builds right now, of course, we have them here. And the usual course of action for Shadows would probably be to put Dahan over into C3, and then next turn use Concealing Shadows for the Dahan to kill everything in that land. It will still put a Blight in the land, but it will take care of the invaders in that land. The other 3, however, don't have Dahan, and so they could basically Blight if we wanted them to, but we might not want them to, because you have to put down flame markers, which puts Blight on the board. So do we want to think about where we could put flame markers in such a way that they like I'm looking at this spot here just because this covers 5 lands. Like if we want to if our goal is to get flame markers in such a way that it touches every land on the board, then for it to touch C8, we would need it in either C6, C7, or C8. And C6 covers C7 and C8, whereas C7 also does that and C8 also does that, but this one hits 2 our lands. This one would hit C4 instead, but I don't know. Could go here instead, I guess. And then C6 would then be covered. I could put one in C2, and that covers C1. And it's actually like all of board C is covered with those 2 already. But if I were to do this instead, and then I put a flame marker over here, that also covers all of board C, except we also get 3 lands in board A covered as well. This is not terribly exciting because I'd have to put one probably here as well, because A8 needs to be touched, and this gets A1 and A4. Well, A4 is already taken care of. And then I still have to hit A2 and A3 somehow. That's kind of like I'm dancing around here. So the main problem with this setup is that C2 is not touched. And A8, or no, A8 is. This one's very fruitful. A5 is probably the one to go in any case, because this hits 7 lands. Now, the scenario involves putting Blight, which destroys presence, and Serpent is okay with destroying presence, because he's limited to 5 presence on the island. Obviously, if we eat a presence, then we get extra presence to work with, but it's possible we could, like, forget Absorb Essence and put one into A5, for instance, and just do a Serpent game with only 5 presence. That's probably not the best idea. We could probably just go up to 7 presence and then forget Absorb Essence. We could still play it, and then we can forget it from our discard later. Like, we don't have to do it this turn because there's no Ravage unless we intend on destroying something this turn. Anyway, if I'm always putting one in A5, then I'm probably also putting one in A3, since that has, like, that's the best way to hit A2 and other things. And then on board C, yeah. How do we get these 6 lands without, you know, doing something terrible? Like, since we've already gotten like C3 and C4 covered, we could do like these 2, and then that would take care of the rest. Yeah, we could also instead, yeah, like if we decide C2 is a land where we spend energy to do stuff in, then like we could just put one flame marker here, and then C2 we just pay. So that way we only have to put 3 flame markers down, and C2 is the land we pay to do stuff in. I'm not really fond of that, because coastal lands are always going to need attention. C8 would be better. Like if I put a flame marker there, then I would just ignore C8. But the problem is there's a blight in C5. So putting a blight in that land will result in a cascade, but that is a worthy thought. I don't think I want to ignore an inner land on board A just because this land is so rich. This one's also rich, but it's blighted. This one is not blighted. Anyway, that seems reasonable. Hold on a second. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I had got an email that I wanted to check. It's related to my work. All right. So that seems like a reasonable thought. So, and then we still have these lands that are building. Unfortunately, Shadows' board is the board where both lands have towns in them. If Shadows had begun on board A instead, then we would have been able to stop one of these builds by gathering the Explorer, most likely. We could still gather, we just can't destroy or damage. So I still like the idea of putting stuff in C3 and then letting the Dahan counterattack. I guess we could do like Elemental Aegis in A5 next turn. And that would defend these 3 lands. This one still would not be enough, even if we absorb Essence, because it's going to be defend 3. But it will take care of A1 and A6. But then again, like, there's nothing going on in those lands. It's just blight prevention, which is not necessarily important. Like, we might want to save the Aegis for 2 Ravages from now. In any case, it does seem like we want to absorb Essence this turn. Putting a presence over here does mean that there's potential later for Serpent Wakes to do things. I guess we need to absorb 3 presence at most in order for this to be full power. It's kind of difficult to get to that threshold, though. At least not until the Serpent has awakened. Anyway, I think I'm doing a power card here, because I can afford Absorb Essence and gain a power card. And fire cards could be taken just for the sake of forgetting for the ritual. That said, we have some pretty good build prevention cards here. We could take Entrancing Apparitions instead of absorbing Essence this turn, and we can prevent A1 and A6. Or we could play it next turn to prevent whatever build happens instead. I don't know. Entrancing Apparitions seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. I'm gonna take energy there. I think I want to get to 2 card plays still. So placing down a flame marker, we deal 1 damage per Dahan present. So like, if I put a flame marker in A3, then we kill the town that's in A3. I don't necessarily need to do that right now, but that is a thought. I think I will do that, at least grow into that for a potential later. So we want to gather 4 Dahan into C3, or gather up to 4. It's going to be 2. Placing a presence, and you're going up to 2 card plays. This is range 3 to a land without blight. I mean, I just put shadows here, but I thought we were going to destroy Serpent Present, weren't we? Wasn't that the thought? I mean, it doesn't have to be Serpent. Where would shadows want to grow? Like, we want to get more sacred sites for Darkness Swallows visibility. This was the range 3 one, so we could, like, yeah, we could put this presence somewhere else. This goes really far. Like, our goal is eventually to put a flame marker in A5, so putting a presence there is not the best idea. Serpent's gonna go in A3. And I could try to put one in like C1 or C6 actually would be a bit better. Because of C8 visibility. Yeah, I guess like we could just focus on this board to start with. Okay, so gather 4 Dahan. And then what? Do I need, actually, do I need 2 card plays this turn? I'm not stopping a build with my innate, because we're doing it with entrancing apparitions and the other 2 don't work. I could instead just take more energy this turn and play only 1 card. Like, we want Concealing Shadows for next turn. If I want to do something with Crop's Wither, I'm not in a good land for that. I could have grown into one. Like, I could replace the city in C2 with the town. Maybe I'll do that. Once again, I am once again asking to remove my presence. Not that one. Those 2. We don't have a good Mantle of Dread position right now. And I suppose we could have put a presence in C3 and then used Mantle of Dread to push the town and explore, and there will still be a city there, but, you know, Aegis would have defended it. But I think it's okay. Oh, there's 2 Dahan in there. We're gonna have 4 Dahan in there, so we are gonna actually get the fear off of this. So that's good. All right, 23 minutes in, and we're finally doing our first turn. Yeah, so for some reason I can gather and explore. For some reason. This guy wants to die. I don't think there's a reason to move this guy. These two are not going to do anything. I guess we could move one explorer into C3 and then they'll still die to the Dahan. I guess that's reasonable. Oh, but then we lose fear, so that's actually wrong. Yeah, we lose 3 fear for doing that, and it's definitely not worth losing that 3 fear for 1 explorer kill. If my goal was to put a flame marker in C5, I could put an explorer into C5, and then if they explore wetlands, I could cascade that wetlands to kill 2 explorers. Don't know that that's worth cascading for. I'll do it. Yeah. So if I want to do a flame marker in A3, that's not going to stop the build now. Although we could do like gather and explorer out with shadows or something. All right, gather those. And then I guess I could spend an energy to prevent that build. I don't know if that's a big issue. Oh no, we're on stage 3 already. All right, concealing shadows in C3. So that's sort of dealt with. This is gonna blight. And stuff's gonna happen there. Mantle of Dread we could do in C4. So if I do put the flame marker in A3, that will kill the town. It puts a blight. If I gather the explorer into C4, that stops the A3 build. And then C4 we can do Mantle of Dread to push stuff out of. Oh, but we need to... I might need to spend energy for C3 in that plan, because main issue is that you can't place 2 flame markers with 1 spirit, can we? One or more spirits may perform the ritual. Each spirit performing the ritual does this. Doesn't sound like you can have 1 spirit perform multiple rituals in 1 turn. I also don't have a good Aegis target for next turn, because A8 and C1 are so far apart from everything else. I can only do Aegis in 2 lanes. If I'm willing to spend energy for C3, Shadows could spend 3 energy, or gain 3 energy and spend 2. And we'll place +1 this turn, so we'll have more sustain that way. I don't get a power card out of it, but that would be a way of doing that. So then I don't need this ritual just yet. Just gonna put these eyeballs here. Just to remind ourselves where my plan is for these things. I guess like eyeballs was going to be where they build per my rules. Not rules, I don't know. That's gonna be the ritual icon. This is where builds are happening. And technically also this land. So I would like to have more than one icon in a land. Because I need multiple icons on one land for my sake. So yeah, if I do the ritual here, I think we'd then solve A3, and I can solve C4. We can't solve A8 and C1. We also probably want to absorb essence. Actually, you can give an extra power, right? There's a small chance that... Actually, no, it's a bit better because you can give you any element. Okay, so if I give you a power card and any element, you can get Darkness Swallows to destroy two explorers. Which means that we can stop both of these builds, which opens up Mantle of Dread for something else. Like C1 then? Because A8 has a town in it. So it's going to build a city. And that could be like Serpent. Like anyone can be in that land. Serpent can get there because range 3 is easy. And Shadows can get there because range 3 is easy. So, yeah. So someone grows into C1. Who should that someone be? The other thing to bear in mind is that once A3 is blighted, Serpent will have a harder time growing into there. So like Serpent could just put a Sacred Site in A3 just so that there's a presence there afterwards. And that way, like, we can hit it with Serpent Rouses an Anger in the future. What are we getting you up to? You're getting the 2 card plays. You're getting a moon. You're getting 2 moons and 2 earths. But only 1 fire. So you're only going to deal 1 damage, but you can generate 2 fear and push a town out. See, the thing is, what if I decide I want to, like, do something in A8? I think either way, I'm still taking a power card here. Unless I want to gain millions of energy and use that to spend on C3 instead of Shadows, and then Shadows gets a power card instead. If I do that, then I have to forget a fire card. Is that the time to lose Absorb Essence? The problem is if I'm playing it and then I'm forgetting it. Wait, no, what am I talking about? If I'm spending energy... Oh no, if I'm doing the ritual, yeah, if I'm doing the ritual in A3 is independent from the energy spend in C3. The energy spend doesn't require me to forget a power card, but forgetting the power card is required for the ritual in A3. So what power card am I forgetting then? Like, I can't, like, Absorb Essence has to be forgotten before we use it. So I might have to gain a power card just so I can forget one for A3. Yeah, because I want, like, Absorb Essence we need to use. Not need, but it is gonna make it a lot easier to get to this threshold. And we do want at least one presence absorbed to get to 7 presence on the island, plus opening up the door for shadows to do things. Gift of Flowing Power is... It's good. It's good. Aegis is really good. And those are the only fire cards I have. So if you don't get me a fire card, I'm going to be upset. Okay, Flesh Rot Fever is a power card. We also have 2 blight removal cards, which might be valuable for this scenario. I'm gonna have to take Flesh Rot Fever so I can do stuff in A3. Let's say I'm gonna keep my presence in A3. Okay, so I have 2 fear and a town push. Or just 2 fear. Maybe I don't need the town push. So now Shadows needs to grow into C1, and we need to save 2 energy for C3, so we need to do it this way then. I didn't need the +1 energy, but I don't want 3 card plays next turn when I can't play 3 cards. All my cards cost energy. I'm gonna just take better sustain. We need the ritual. We need it in A3. Forget Flesh Rot Fever. Do it there. Oh, I guess we get energy. I gain energy equal to the current invader stage. Was that? We only get 1 off of that? Wait. Wait. That's cheating. I got like 5 fear? This is bug? Wait, that one worked. I'm gonna have to hit this button though, because something broke. Something broke. Also, for some reason, that one town was only damaged once. I don't know. Something broke. We don't need to think too much about it. I'm going to report a bug, but I just want to double check where we were supposed to be. I just wanted to see how much energy I had, because I ended at 2. How'd I end at 2? So I played those. Yeah, gain 2. And then when I hit the undo button, this gives me 5 fear. Oh, and the town is back at 1 health? Okay. Something is so broken there. Something is so broken. Let's make this a shorter title. The energy looks correct. Oh, is it because... Wait. Let's do this again. So... And now I'm in this weird zoomed in state. Awesome. I take Flesh Rot. I place Presence. Yeah, why am I in this weird zoomed in state? So I'm at 3 energy, but I'm like playing these cards, right? So I'm at 0 energy. Oh. Oh, and okay. I was looking at terror level, not invader stage. Gotcha. Gotcha. The fear, however, is definitely wrong. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. I have a bad habit of conflating Terra level and Invader stage. I wasn't even looking at this, I was looking at this. So what I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm supposed to get 3 energy. I was thinking, oh, I'm at Terra level 1, so I'm supposed to get 1 energy. But nope. Alright, and for some reason I'm in this weird zoomed in state, and I guess that's my life now. That's just my life now. This is the zoom in that you get when you are like looking at a ravage occurring, like when the game zooms in and is like, invaders jump, Dahan jumps, blah blah blah. Oh, I forgot to ritual. Oh yeah, I did. I did. Oh, now I'm back zoomed here. So actually that means that the bug I submitted is actually slightly too early. So I gotta actually probably go and fix that real quick. Like I could just go and submit a new bug, but I think I can just... do this. Yeah, imagine just getting free fear for undo, huh? Do I need to do the ritual here? I don't think so. No, I don't. So the ritual has to happen in A3 before... Or no, we did the ritual, duh. What am I talking about? The ritual's done. I need to do... gift first, and then I know what element I would need to give with absorb essence, and then I need to do darkness swallows after those. Concealing shadows could happen at any moment, but we'll do gift now. Gain minor power. Moon or fire is what we want. 2 of these give fire, 1 gives moon. I think Dark and Tangled Woods is technically the progression deck. Progression deck stuff, which is funny. This is why Jungle Hungers is in the progression deck, because this gives a plant. But I could, let's see, the goal is to play this power. All of these cost 1 energy, except for the one that doesn't have moon or fire. I guess I don't have to play it. I can just gain a moon. And then I can absorb essence and gain a fire, and then I get that. So I don't have to play this. That saves me 1 energy, and if these effects don't do anything, then I wouldn't need to do it. At least with ambushes is interesting now. Because that gives a defend into C3. I mean, Dark and Tangled Woods also defends. Neither of them are enough for C7. Elusive Ambushes, there's no Dahan in C7. Dark and Tangled Woods defend 3 is not good enough. Call to Migrate is slow, but it does move Dahan around. Which there is value to moving Dahan, because when we do a ritual, we do damage equal to Dahan. So like if I want to do a ritual in C5, for instance. Well, there's 2 Dahan in there already. Putting Dahan in A5 for that ritual would be cool, but they're not doing anything in Wetlands pending the Invader card. So I don't know. We could do Elusive Ambushes and do Defend 4 in C3, and that way if the Fear card or the event provides extra defend, then we don't get the Blight in C3. Is that worth spending 1 energy on? The Moon might be slightly better just for this track. Or the Fire is more important because we want to forget Fire cards. I don't know. I'm all up in the air about this. Decisions. This generates fear. And it is useful for next turn, I guess. Well, maybe not, because C1 or A8, we don't have a plan for. C1 is going to be potentially Mantle of Dreaded, but not necessarily. It does have a Dahan in there. You could defend it next turn. You could also just not spend the energy. Maybe I just don't spend the energy. I'm gonna take that one, but I'll gain Moon and Absorb. I guess C2. And now this is powered up. Yay! Hold on. Oh, is that 5? I was like, why am I back at 4 energy? It's because I gained an energy off Absorb Essence. +1 distance when exploring, not really relevant. Choose a land with disease to 2 damage to invaders and 2 damage to Dahan. That would just be C2. A2 wouldn't do, like the city wouldn't die and the Dahan would die. And then we get Fear for lands for Dahan outnumber invaders, which is A3, A6, C3, C5, C6. It's quite a lot of Fear. Is that another Fear card? I have to spend energy for this. And it's 2 energy? Oof. Might not be worth doing none. Just destroying that town. It's not going to stop visibility because C7 sees all the inner lands. I think I just don't spend that energy. Oh, and it's on each board too. So I did have to do it in A2. I thought it was just do it once because I didn't read the card. Defend 2 in all lands with presence. Cool. Fantastic. Hey, Nameless Inversion, welcome. You spend the energy though. That was what we wanted. I guess actually you could. Hold on. Go back. Go back. You spend the energy because you don't need it as much as Shadows might. And it's sands, wetlands. No overlap between any of these. So wetlands and sands are first times. It's always funny how, like, the game decides which town or city or ocean is the one that generates the explorer. That sea town is apparently the source of many explorers. The town in C2 gave birth to an explorer in A7, even though A8 was closer. It doesn't matter at all, it's just funny how that looks. I was gonna do Mantle of Dread from C1, but that's actually kind of a trashy spot now. We could still dark entangled woods it. Because the big issue is that, like, I have to push these guys somewhere. And if they go into C6 or C5, that builds a city. If it goes into C2, it has a disease already, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah. I wonder if I should have spent the energy for C2. I'm actually wondering if I should have. Because if it was just one explorer, then that land would be, like, doing nothing. Oh well. It was just a town. And it's still just a town. Serpent is not in any good place for Mantle of Dread, so the only, like, other than just pushing an explorer. I mean, I guess we could just get stuff out of C1. I mean, we have the Dark Entangled Woods. Next turn, we could just take a power card and place another presence down. We could get to 3 card plays even though we don't have 3 cards. Again, Aegis is not super exciting. Aegis is going to be super useful for the next turn now. Is there any land where we could defend 4 things? C3. Problem is that's blighted. So Serpent can't grow in there very easily. Another thing to think about, if I do want to defend C1, I don't have a ritual there, or I don't have a flame marker there, and my plan was to put one in C5, but that will blight the island. But it's possible the island, well, the island might not blight. I mean, the only blighted thing happening is over here now. Like, we can either defend this or push the guys out, so that's not blighting. So we're only really looking at 1 blight next turn. But still, if I do any flame marker, that blights the island as the result. And this cascade might not be a good idea, considering that that's going to end up ravaging and then needing to be defended or something. If Shadows does reclaim, we have a Gift of Flowing Power here to play more stuff. I'm just gonna get the guys out of here. C2 is just gonna be the fun land. Do have a town push, but there's no towns in Serpent lands, so we'll just throw it anywhere for the fear. Great. So I think I'm reclaiming here. Could try for a major, but the 2 extra energy to damage or destroy means that, like, any major that says do do a bunch of actions is not really that helpful. I'm gonna take a minor still. Like defend powers are going to be pretty nice. We have another card that gives, actually this is pretty good elements, and it's free. And it gives a plant, which means that Jungle Hungers is even closer to being obtained. Jungle Sands defend 4 though. There's fire on it, which is pretty important, and it's good shadows elements. Serpent's probably just gaining an element, or sorry, getting a power card. Is there any reason for you to do anything else here? Our goals were flame markers here and here, but those aren't going to be super useful for this turn. Unless we can somehow destroy a million things, which Serpent is not very good with explorers. And we want to do Aegis and A5 next turn. And the only Ravage that's an issue is this one. We're planning to just keep taking power cards. Okay. This has fire on it. One energy to destroy 3 towns, except it's really 3 energy to destroy 3 towns. And there's not really a good target for it other than like C2. That doesn't solve the Explorer problem. Guardian Serpents puts a defend 4 in a land with a sacred site. Unfortunately, we don't have a sacred site in A8. Capacity Ward defends 2. Could be helpful for like C5 next turn. Although there still needs to be more done here, but Shadows should be able to deal with some of these explorers. The main issue is that we don't have the ritual here, so I'd have to spend energy to destroy explorers. If I only, like... I mean, if I gather one guy out of C6, and then I destroy 2 explorers in C5, which I have to spend 2 energy to do that, then if I have a defend 2 in C5, that's theoretically enough pending the event. Could take Guardian Serpents instead and set up a sacred site there next turn. Main issue with those thoughts is that, like, what is Serpent playing this turn? Aegis doesn't do enough, and Gift of Flowing Power. We're playing that one, but the hope is to play one of these ones, probably. We don't quite have that. The main issue with animated Rackroot is the fact that because we only have one ritual on the board right now, or one flame marker on the board right now, I only have like so many lands that I can destroy the Explorer without spending 2 energy in. Maybe I should have taken energy this turn. If I play Gift of Constancy... What does that do for me? It's not good elements. But it allows Serpent to play something and then take it back. Constant Aegis? Just do like constancy and Aegis every turn for the rest of the game? I guess that's an idea. It's not going to do anything this turn is the problem, other than give elements, which isn't terrible. You're getting to your fire. Like, if I were to play Drought, then I would be able to do 2 damage to a town. Which means that I could do the defend an A5 next turn, and that would defend these. I would probably not be using the card, but it would give me the fire and the earth. Well, mainly the earth. I guess I don't need the fire. I could do Guardian Serpents or Infested. Well, actually, all of these give earth. Any of these give earth. But I mean, if I grow into A8, then I have defend 3 on Aegis and defend 2 on Encompassing Ward, and that would defend enough pending the event in A8. And then I reclaim Aegis, and then I can defend these. It's probably okay, because I do get the fires and earths to... I don't play Gift of Flowing Power in this line, but it does prevent a blight here, and it gives me Town Destroy and A5 and defends these 3 lands. This is still a problem. And these are still going to be problems. This is always going to be a problem. This is probably going to be a problem. And there's probably a combination of things I can do over here. Yeah, I think we want to do the constancy on that, which is also really bad because we're not even going to get this threshold here. We only have 2 card plays. Is there something? I guess I could do Mantle of Dread in A5, or C5 rather. Which will make that be defended. But how do I deal with, like, how do I deal with C6 at the very least? I guess, oh, but that doesn't affect any of the lands next turn. Excellent. What if Serpent were to reclaim all next turn? So I don't need to use constancy. The nice thing about constancy is it gives me energy to spend for destruction effects. Which it seems like this turn we're going to need it, unless I decide I want to blight A5, but I don't want to blight A5. I need that presence in there. I could do Concealing Shadows in C6 and destroy the town instead of... well, maybe not, I don't know. Because the issue is I'd have to spend 2 energy to do that. This is rough. What if I put the Flame Marker in C1? Main problem with that is that it doesn't see C7 or C8. But it allows me to do things in C5 and C6. And potentially C2. And it doesn't result in a cascade. I think that was my original thought at one point, wasn't it? Was to do flame markers here and here. And I decided I would put one here instead, but that's actually the same number of blight, as it turns out. So if I put one here, what would I forget? I only have these 2 fire cards and maybe animated rack root. Problem is my 2 fire cards are pretty good. Mantle of Dread was going to potentially solve C5. Crop's Wither is one of the few cards that gets rid of cities without having to destroy it. Plus it generates fear. Animated Rack Root is perhaps the least exciting, but it's free and gives me Moon and Fire, which is pretty good. But so are all my other fire cards, so that consideration is kind of moot. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And my plan is to reclaim next turn on Serpent, so I grow into there to do Aegis and Encompassing Ward. I can do this, and I forget Animated Rack Root, and I do it there. And I get the 2 energy that I'm supposed to because it's Invader Stage 2, because I'm smart. Alright, so Mantle of Dread was for C5. Yeah, if I play any Moon card, I do solve C6 at least. Doesn't actually solve C5, although we do have a Encompassing Ward for next turn, maybe. Maybe. It would be nice if there was some way of hitting A8, but oh well. I only need a Moon card, so it's probably just going to be Favor's Call Due. Because I don't think the other ones are going to do anything this turn. I can just congregate the Dahan somewhere. So did I need to do that ritual in C1 then? Because I'm not actually destroying anything here. If I'm not destroying anything, then I probably shouldn't do the ritual just yet. Yeah, I think I shouldn't have done the ritual. So let me hit undo and get 5 fear. No? That actually worked? Okay. Did I actually... It didn't undo the fear from the ritual though, so I do still need to undo. Right? Or did I not get fear? I don't know. I'm at 1+5. I don't know. I was always at 1+5. I guess... Oh, there were no invaders in that land, so it didn't do fear. Okay. Alright, that's fine. I'll still click that card. It's fine. I get to keep it now. I could potentially use it. I could just put a Wilds in C1. And that way if I do forget it next turn, then it's not a big deal. I could keep it for next turn though, because if I get to 3 card plays next turn, I could just play my 2 fire cards and any other moon cards. So I guess I will still play this one. It gets me, what, 3 fear? Yeah, that's still fine. This is now checkmarked. I don't have to gather you in there. Might as well just go in there. Because the problem with C5 is that that's ravaging and I need defend if I put an extra explorer in there. In each land with at least 2 explorers, push to adjacent lands. Cool. Push beasts to an adjacent land with no blight to deal 1 damage and defend 1 per Dahan in Ravage. Okay, so we have a beasts in C4. We have a beasts in A1. So one of these guys can go in A1. And then we can put someone in C4, and also we can put something in C1, and that will kill the explorers that we push that way. Oh, but never mind. Because the beasts are being pushed first. Well, it's still kind of hard to figure out where to push this. This beast actually has only 1 valid land. Oh, also we have to spend energy to actually kill him, and it's not worth spending that energy. And this one will also spend energy. You could just kill this explorer for free. This is theoretically defended with Aegis next turn, so I don't need to kill that explorer. It does do 1 damage, not just to an explorer, but we don't have any spare damage. Gather a town into a coastal land. There's no way to daisy chain this. A3 is super defended and it's ritualed. But there's no adjacent town. Nor is there a way to gather a town into an adjacent land. C1 is not super defended, unfortunately. Why do we have defend 4? Because 2 is from... 2, okay, it's 2 Dahan, so 2 defend, plus 2 from Encompassing Ward. This only has 1 Dahan, so it's only 1 defend. So putting a town into C1 is not wise, because that will blight. We could make C2 not blight next turn by putting 2 towns into C3. Is that the only towns? Or sorry, those are the only 2 lands because there's no adjacent towns here, so it's just these 2 lands. And this one, both of these are with respect to those towns, right? So I think that's fine. Yeah, if I had put the ritual down in C1, we would have been able to do some fun and exciting things there. Well. Alright, so this is add a town to a land without town. They're exploring sands, so we're getting this ravage and then build and then ravage next turn. Not this turn, but subsequent turn. You are killing a town. Right, our thought was to kill a town in A5, I guess. Except it's defended with Aegis now. I'm just thinking I could put this in a land, like if I put it here, Serpent can just eat it. If I put it, this town, I guess, yeah, I have to spend energy to kill that town. So it's gonna be a town in A3, I'd say. Just because Serpent can eat it. And probably also C4. Because it's adjacent to the ritual marker, and also they're not doing anything with jungles right now. Okay. So the C6 Ravage is actually good because that stops a build. C2... it's kind of irksome. And then of course A4 and A7, which... Aegis is still enough. But then they build a city, and then we have to figure out what to do from there. I think it's still correct to get rid of those guys. Just put you in C1 for some reason. If I do the ritual in C1, I could just put all the Dahan in here. Well, maybe not all of them because... well... I do get fear if I do that. Well, okay, I could have done this first actually, so I don't need to do that. Right. So I don't need to... I could get the fear first and then put invaders in there second. See, the thing is that, like, if I do the ritual here, I could then deal with C6 and C2 better. Like, the C6 Ravage, we can then let go off without having to spend energy. The C2 Ravage, we would still need to figure out something for. This is not... yeah, it doesn't hit those lands. I mean, I guess, like, theoretically, I could put a presence in that land and get Aegis-ed, or not Aegis-ed, encompassing warded, and that defends C2. Yeah, I think I do Favor's Call due here. I don't need to kill everything in the land, I just would like to kill the town. And I also don't really need 3 Dahan in there, but... it's fine, probably. The Serpent most likely is doing Reclaim and Presence. Just because always be growing and all that jazz. But Shadows could take a power. Just wondering about C2. So we can destroy 2 explorers if we get to full threshold, which we can do by playing 3 cards. But we have to gather an explorer in order to accomplish that, and... you know, our original thought was that we were going to, like, kill the things in C1. Well, not kill all the things, because there's only 3 Dahan. So, like, we can kill a town explorer, but that leaves an explorer. I guess, actually, there's an explorer in C4 as well. So I can't just kill 2 explorers here and then not have to gather in here, because C4 would get gathered. But if I can, like, get a Dahan into C2... so if I get a power card that pushes Dahan fast, or gathers Dahan fast... then that would allow us to do stuff. And if it's not the right elements, then we could be potentially Primordial Deep did, potentially. But Serpent does have, like, limited actions because he needs to Aegis A5. And then we still have to think about A4 and A7. I do think the power card is then correct here. Well, that's not quite... It's not quite damage. All the bloodshed is damage, but slow. The other ones don't damage. Also probably want to put the ritual marker in A5 this turn. If I do that, then Call to Bloodshed in C3 is pretty good. Although they're not doing anything in mountains. And we still have the problem with the sands. Like, the island's gonna be blighting, because this. And this. And we don't have a solution for those. Unless I do Nature's Resilience. If I could move Dahan fast. But I can't. Because like I only have this one sacred site, and the only other sacred sites are not going to be within range 1 of C8 or A5. But I could target those lands if they had a Dahan in them, and that would prevent a blight with Nature's Resilience, for instance. But we don't have a means of getting Dahan in there, I don't think. Yeah, it does not look like it. I probably should have used Animated Rock Root last turn because I'm gonna have to forget it. Or forget Mantle of Dread. Just so I can forget a power card for C1. Or I forget Call to Bloodshed. This is a really good card, unfortunately. Combos really well with shadows. I don't have any water cards, so Nature's Resilience is not going to be removing Blight. Renewing Rain will remove Blight. Those Sands Blight removal, so it can hit A4. We can potentially put a Wilds in there too. It's funny. Is it okay to forget Mantle of Dread? 2 fear is 2 fear, but pushing the Explorer in town is not really going to solve the board. Yeah, renewing Rain to remove the Blight from A4 is probably important so that we don't have a Cascade there next turn. Because we're not going to be able to defend it, and we're not able to... I mean, I guess I could do Nature's Resilience and that would defend it. But I think we'll go for Blight Removal. Considering I'm gonna need to start thinking about Blight Removal. Okay. So we're gonna remove the presence from C1. So if I still need to be in C1 for any reason, then I would want to put a Sacred Site in there. Otherwise, I could put a Sacred Site in C5, which isn't going to be that much better than the C4 one. It can target C6 and C1 with my innate, but those don't seem too important. It is only range 1 presence, to be fair. It's not that much I can do with it. Maybe I do C3. This Sacred Site would see A5 and A7 at least. Which there's a lot going on in there anyway, so it's not really that helpful. The only other sacred site consideration is Renewing Rain. And all the... I guess A7's going to Blight next turn, and so we could set up the Sacred Site in C3 to help with that, I guess. Okay. Do 3 cards. This is not helpful for a while. We need to do a Flame Marker. We gotta finish this growth first. Where will Serpent go? Is Serpent putting a Flame Marker in A5? We could Blight the island before the Invader phase, but we probably want to do it after, just because if the event card is Healthy Island versus Blighted Island, it would be better to have it on the healthy side, probably. And if the Blight card says, like, at the start of the Invader phase, each spirit destroys a presence, it'd be better to push that off for a bit. But if it's the Blight cards that say gain a minor power and use it every turn, or +1 card play, +1 energy per turn, that would be super beneficial to have right now. Maybe not. I don't know what more we could do this turn with, like, say, Shadows playing 4 cards, considering that 2 of those cards aren't doing anything this turn anyway. There's also ones that could say on each board add a town and a city to a land, and that wouldn't really be so nice. So maybe we just let the invaders blight the island and then we'll reconvene. We're still doing the Flame Marker in C1, but the one in A5 is not going to do anything as far as I can figure this turn. So this allows me to put a presence into a blighted land, which is generally pretty difficult. For Serpent. So I could have grown first and then put my presence down, or move my presence to a different land. Where do I want Serpent to be? I guess it depends on what cards he's playing. We could do Concealing Shadows into C5, and that stops not just this Ravage, but also this build, which we didn't really have a plan for. We didn't have a worked out solution for. The original thought was that I was going to give +1 card play to Shadows, but that wasn't going to do anything in the end, was it? We could do Gift of the Primordial Deeps instead. Does it give you another card draw and see what happens from there? Or how helpful that one is either. Now let's do this growth first. And this presence is just going to move into C5, probably. Maybe? Or C7. Probably C7. Just because that has more stuff in it. Oh, that was not the button I wanted to hit, by the way. Now we do the flame marker here. We're too far away from Terra level 2. So that Ravage stops that. Concealing Shadows. No, Entrancing Apparition stops that. This doesn't need to... Like, yeah, it doesn't care about Blight. Alright. And then we're going to do Aegis. So we play these 2 cards. We always have to play these 2 cards. And then these are defended. We have an any. If I take an earth, then I can do damage to a town in the slow phase. If I take a plant, then Shadows and Serpent get an energy in the slow phase. I don't need to make that decision yet, but it exists. Shadows is not getting +1 card play, so at best you can gather and explore, but that's not going to do much for this build. Unless they do plus damage in C6, for instance. This isn't really going to do much except save the Dahan in C6 pending the event. Dark Entangled Woods just generates 2 fear, which is fine, I guess, because we might need that 2 fear to get to the next Terra level, maybe. So maybe I do want to do that. It's not going to do anything on the next turn Ravage anyway, so I probably should. And then if I play a fire card, then we do gather, but we don't need that. Is there a valid place for me to do Crops Wither? Probably. Maybe I just do Wilds instead. Not really a good Wilds target other than maybe C5. Let's see, so... It's either wetlands, jungle, mountain, or coastal. So it's a 50% chance that C3 is hit. So like if I do like Crops Wither in C3, that is beneficial most of the time. Sure. Might as well throw a defend into a mountain jungle just in case there's like a thing that says Ravage in a land not selected this turn or something. I don't know that there isn't one of those, is there? Right? It's build. Ravage in a land not shown would actually be pretty brutal. It might be a blighted island effect actually, maybe. I'll just do it there. It's fine. I could just gather that Explorer just in case the event does screw it up. It's like the only thing that's immediately beneficial. Maybe not there though. Just because that's also ravaging. Okay. On a coastal land, move a town inland. So there's no towns there, so it's just those 2 towns. Okay. Right? Click a land to move the town to it. Okay, yeah, so it's automatically selecting this land in one of those towns because they're indistinguishable. On each board, choose a land with disease. There are no lands with disease. During Ravage, defend 1 per Dahan. Yeah, none of the sands or wetlands have Dahan. That's cool. But if a fear card does move Dahan, then bear in mind we have defend 1 per Dahan, which is beneficial. Moving a town inland. I guess just like C4. I don't know. Remove an explorer town from a land with presence. Doesn't do anything for those 2 sands over there. Doesn't do anything for the ravages that are blighting. So I guess we just remove 2 towns from C4. Because that at least makes it so that if they explore jungles, there's no city there. We could remove a town here. Because it's more likely that this coastal mountain is a target versus this inland jungle. Because coastal or mountain makes that a problem. And then we could remove the town from there still. So it's like still we could do Crops Wither to stop that from being a problem in the end. Had Strife in a land with Dahan for the rest of this turn. Okay, yeah, that invader is super strifed. Apparently he's the only land with Dahan. Cool. Okay, so island is blighting. So just in case there is the blight card says add stuff, we should do the ravages that are safe right now. And now it's just these 2, so it's up to us what we want to do. Maybe we select this one because there's a blight card that says remove a town. Back against the wall. We do have that +1 card play in the end. We're already down to 3 blight. And that's pretty scary. And they are going for jungles, which is not this mountain, which is annoying. This mountain is scary. So you definitely want to Crops Wither the guy in C4. This mountain's not doing anything right now, so you can just put 1 in there, and then I guess 1 there. We're gonna need to start clicking major powers, probably. This is the last stage 2 card also. Okay. Yeah, so right now these are the blights. Which we can remove that blight as we said we would, and that way we don't have to deal with the cascade. Serpent rouses. Kill a town? Are we in a jungle? We could kill the town in here at the cost of 2 energy. We could instead gain extra energy. Or we could push the town out. Or well, actually no, yeah, sorry. If I gain an earth, not only do we do the damage, but we also push a town. Which ain't nothing. So the builds are here. The only one that's really a massive concern is that inner one. Probably. If I go for the plant to gain an energy, then I swear that I will take a major power next turn, especially because we do have +1 energy from normal. It doesn't show up yet, but we do get +1 energy and +1 card play. So really, Serpent's on 2+2 right now, and Shadows is on 3+2. Shadows also has 4 card plays. It is conceivable that Shadows wants to reclaim next turn. Three-card Serpent is pretty strong, yeah. Because it means we can get to the higher level thresholds more easily. Have we gotten a plant on you yet? We haven't. Because I've been playing Serpent poorly, I guess. But we've been clicking on the cards we've needed to click on, is the argument I am going to stick with. Just cleaning up some of these icons, even though I know that, like, it does clean up in between phases. I'm just trying to keep mindful of the issues next turn. So, like, if I want to do the ritual in A5, we're going to be down to 1 blight after the Ravage, and that's a big concern. Otherwise, I need to spend energy in A8 to deal with that. The other jungles are adjacent to a flame marker, so those are fine. I mean, I could foresee myself just taking a major on Shadows next turn. Take energy here. I'm gonna have only 3 cards and 4 plays, but like, we can definitely afford any major, basically. Because you're gonna be at 3 + 4, 7 energy next turn, and these cards are free. So you can spend a 7 energy. That's a lot. You don't really need that 1 energy then, do you? Serpent, on the other hand, these cards cost energy already. You get +1 energy when you gain a power. Oh, you also can reclaim 1, but all of your cards cost energy, so that's not as exciting. So defend 2. If I were to, like, absorb Essence, Encompassing Ward, and Aegis, would that defend another land? These are both 7. 4 and 2 is 6. I mean, it's conceivable that I could just do the Reclaim and Presence again and not actually gain a major, but move a Presence into A4, add a Presence to A7. And that way, we save Blight. I don't put the flame marker down if I do that, because I need to be able to see both A4 and A7, which means I need to do Aegis and A5, and I have to add a presence and move a presence as my 2 actions into Sands, so that doesn't work. I do like absorbing Essence. I think giving Shadows that extra element, which can help with the elemental threshold and possibly also in a minor, but if I do that, then I'm not going to, like, do enough actions. Maybe I don't reclaim then. I swear I will gain a major power. Proceeds to not do the growth option with gain of power. I mean, I haven't committed to the thing that, like I said, if I gain an energy instead of actually damaging a thing, but we haven't done that yet. The thing is that if I do opt to... Well, I guess I could do damage in C7, but C7's not relevant. I would want to do it in A8. I don't necessarily need to kill the town because it can just be pushed, so I don't have to spend the energy there. Anyway. If I don't reclaim, then I have a reclaim 1. So I could absorb essence, I can Aegis. Like, I could just, like, defend one of these lands instead of, like, defending all of them, for instance. So, like, 2 and 4 is 6. And that's enough pending the event for A7. It does mean that I'm not actually playing a power that I'm gaining next turn, no. I mean, I guess I could just click on gain a major power, and then if it's something that does fast defend or fast damage, then we don't need to defend into A4, A7. Well, still probably needs to defend into at least one of them, but... It's highly contingent on what that power is. This growth option gives you +1 energy, so we're sitting on 5 energy next turn. So if it's Absorb Essence, that's 3 energy. Aegis for 2 energy, so the major power would have to be 2 energy. Which there are 2 energy major powers. There are not that many of them, but there are them. The thing is, +1 energy is not necessarily going to be super exciting either, because this sort of defends. Sort of. This doesn't defend. Does it? Oh, actually it would. It would strife the city and it would be enough. This card is hilariously bad. This card won't work. This card defends 5. I guess we would do it in A3 or something. C3, is it range 1 or range 0? I think it's range 1, right? Range 0. Damn. Okay. Yeah, there are actually 3 energy powers that actually would be helpful. Actually. Are you in the mountains right now? No, but that could easily change. I could also just grow into a land with Dahan, right? So that's not really an issue. What was the other one I was looking at for a second? It was Volcanic Eruption, Pyroclastic Flow. 2 damage, destroy all explorers. That would be enough for A4. You can't grow into C3 that easily, unfortunately. Yeah, so I guess I do the energy. Very exciting power. All right, here goes. The only one that I could afford is Entwined Power. Okay. Serpent. Not Serpent. Shadows. Shadows. Okay. Does that do enough for A4? I mean, Winds of Rust would be enough. Does Tiger's Hunting work better? Or not work better, but... Does turning into fangs help out more? This would be 5. So if I kill the town, that's 5. And then defend forward me enough. This is kind of a miss. There's no disease on the board. Dissolve the bonds can be useful, but it's not helping with the sands, which is what our first concern was. But it does help with A8. And for that reason, it's probably okay, except for the fact that we can't afford it unless I don't grow. Although, since we kind of swung and missed, we kind of probably just lit A4 and A7 blight. On the other hand, if I get the repeat on that, but I'm not, right? Because I don't have any waters. I mean, I could just do Winds of Rust and, right, yeah, that solves it. I guess, no, the thing is, yeah, we still have one of them solved, right? If I do... All right, we still haven't reclaimed. We haven't reclaimed Aegis. If I do Aegis, then we do have enough into A4. If I do Tiger's Hunting, otherwise I do Winds of Rust. Thing is, we're kind of close to the thresholds on Dissolve the Bonds. Main problem is that this is not adjacent to a flame marker. Actually, does Bloodrack Plague do enough? No, because I can't afford to get the extra defend I need. Because this is 7. We need to defend 6. This defends 2, and then we would need 4 more off of Aegis, which we only get if I can absorb Essence. It'd be nice if I could just not grow this turn, but I need to get to that reclaim 1. I could reclaim all and then not grow, which is annoying. Manifest Incarnation is a lot, but that does completely forego our ability to defend A4 and A7. But if I were to do that, would that win the game? No. Nowhere close. These weren't really the majors I was hoping to see. Alright, I can't even do the reclaim all to get to the Aegis because I have to get this +4 energy to be able to afford Bloodrock Plague plus Aegis plus Absorb Essence. Or whatever. I think I said Absorb Essence twice, but I think you know what I mean. Would Entwined Power be lame? It seems slow, but it gives me more power cards. Probably just not worth. Bloodrock Plague requires a Sacred Site, which we don't have right now, but we can get one with the Presence. Probably just dissolve the bonds. I guess the question is, what power am I forgetting? Entrancing apparitions, probably. It's kind of becoming increasingly difficult to actually use. It still works for this turn, though. But barely. I think I want to do dissolve the bonds this turn. Which means that I'm not really able to do anything else this turn on Serpent. So I will do Winds of Rust to do the defend that I think I need to do. It has to be one of these cards, I forget. Put the Sacred Site there, I guess. Okay. Now do I want to do the Flame Marker in A5? Well, if I do that, I have to forget a fire card. I could forget Dissolve the Bonds! Ha ha! Next turn, I think I take a minor that I can forget for that. Put the Sacred Site there just so that I can... I definitely want to do that. Does Absorbing Essence do anything this turn? Not for that, and not for this, so probably not. So then I will just... Primordial Deeps on Shadows, because that could get you that threshold. And then... I don't know. Encompassing Ward does help with next turn. The Flowing Power, just to give you a fire and a water, doesn't really do much. I guess, like, theoretically, if you find a moon card, we can get that more easily. We could do this, it's not... we could do all the defends next turn if I keep both Aegis and Encompassing Ward. I want another Earth to be able to do Serpent Rouses most easily. And just give it myself, but I would also like to get a plant instead. I don't know. I'll do Aegis, just in case there's some event or fear effect that defends A7, I guess. So this is the point of no return. Inflame the Fires gives Moon and Fire. Sky Stretches means we could do Dissolve the Bonds on A7 instead. And that would stop a Blight. It does mean we don't do it in A8. Wetland blight removal, though. Considering that... No, we are going to put one blight on the board this turn, but maybe not next turn, so maybe it's not too important to have to remove blight. I think I still prefer doing Dissolve the Bonds in A8. So... Doesn't Flame do anything? Strife's a town, if nothing else. I'll do it. Stop the build in A3 with my Darkness Swallows. Darkness Swallows isn't gonna solve A7. Played this for elements. There's no Sands with Dahan, or can I get a Sands with Dahan? Yeah. Less buildings, less problems. Add blight to an inland land. Prevent this by destroying 3 presents. Yay! Do not ravage in lands with strife or disease. So that does nothing. They push and explore a town from a land with Dahan. That does stop the build in C1. So that's not bad. 2 blight is a lot of blight, though. How bad is it if Serpent loses a lot of presence? A lot of presence. A lot of presence. I couldn't even say that. Shadows might not want to lose all the presence. We are getting a blight in A7 already. But if I stop the build in C1 and I stop the build in A3 and we do dissolve in A8, this is very easily defendable now. We can do lots of things, strife the town and destroy and explore, and that is solved so we don't have a ravage next turn to deal with. Right, I only have 1 blight. Yeah. Oh, is there a way that this is the only thing with strife? There's no way that you can reach those lands. That's annoying. But you don't ravage in a land with strife, so we could actually push this, like, we could push these guys into sands, like, actually... Like, push both these guys in the C6 because that Sands is not going to... Oops. Is not going to do anything for a while. I guess we... Well, no, we're going to push that town out. Right. Mountains is a bit scary, though. We're never hitting that threshold, so that wasn't an issue. Oh, I did not gain my element. Go back, go back, go back, because I gotta do something. We have to go back, Kate. Alright, the good news is we're not blighting. The bad news is that mountain build seems pretty scary. So you're reclaiming, you're gaining a major. Claim? Fire and blood? Or fire and flood, rather? That is a lot of damage. And if we do absorb essence, then we can very easily get that extra element there. That potentially helps. Although your sacred sites are not in good places for targeting all the mountains. We could just target like C7 and C3, which is probably good enough because there will be a city in C3. That seems reasonable. I don't think you're getting a major because you are energy starved and you probably need to absorb essence now. Unless I take +4 energy, but then I'm not growing. I can't actually... Ooh. I can't place a flame marker this turn now because I put all the blight on the board last turn. So I can't do it in A5, so A1 and A6 are going to be energy costs, so that's kind of irksome. What ranges does all the bonds run? So we can at least solve A1 by growing into A1 and reclaiming dissolve the bonds. I don't need to gain a power, I guess. I don't know what we're doing with A6 yet. I guess that could just be defended. It's only a town, so that's fine. Okay, that might be okay then. This is not next to a flame marker. That's a problem. But this is slow and we can get you energy most likely. We're also absorbing essence, which gives you 2 energy, or 1 not 2, 1 energy. Okay. Let's give you the energy that you need. The only ravage of note is this one. You're always playing that one. Can't really use concealing shadows anymore. I want to keep the fire cards. I want to play the water card. And then I guess you're energy starved now. So you need to play another fire, and then you take a water off of dissolve the bonds. So if you get 1 energy off absorb essence and 1 energy off serpent wakes, then you can spend 2 energy into C3, which is the good news. So you're not going to play another power card. You're just gonna... I guess you didn't have to play fire. Oh, but hey, this gives you water. All right, cool. So now absorb essence gives you a moon. You can get fear that way. You're not getting that animal. Again, we didn't need to play a fire, so we could have not played in flame and instead done favors called do, which I'm not sure if there's a place for that. I do want to get rid of the Explorer and C4 just in case, because we don't have a defend there anyway. So, and it's stage 3. The only stage 3 card we've seen is Sands and Wetlands. So Sands and Wetlands are only slightly less likely to appear now. I guess we remove some of the stuff in this land because it's how much? 3, 5, 8. They're building a town, so 10 minus an Explorer is 9. And this is 8 damage. So yeah, there'll still be an Explorer left over. This removes Blight from Jungle Sands, so that doesn't have Blight. Otherwise, I would probably do something there. I don't know. Oh, I didn't absorb Essence yet. Okay. Do this. I don't think we need this presence right now. Unless I want to do animated rack root there. Gain the moon. Oh, you already have the energy because you had 1 energy innately. Duh. So we don't need the plant for the +1 energy for things. Oh, if I want to destroy an Explorer, I do actually need to gather into here. Because this is next to a flame marker. Okay. Cultural assimilation converted that Dahan. Excellent. Each beast deals 2 damage. Choose a land with at least 2 Dahan and 2 buildings, and then stuff happens. Is there a land where that's happening? This is the closest, but it only has 1 town. So thank God we didn't just lose the game. That's the only beast that's doing something. Might as well kill the town, I guess. Alright. Game is not lost. Remove an explorer town from a land with beasts, or an explorer from a land adjacent to beasts. So this is the only beast. So we're only removing explorers from a land adjacent to them, and everything in here is going to die, so we might as well just remove the guys from C5. Jungle wetlands. Most of the jungles are already cleared. Wetlands not as cleared. Okay. So this is going to be a plant for sure. There's no reason to get an extra fire. I guess we could get an earth to kill a town. But I'd have to spend energy to do that. So maybe... Okay, I'm gonna undo that. So Dissolve the Bonds is going in A1. Iron Flood is happening in those lands. Renewing Rain's always happening here. Because jungle is more relevant than sands right now. And you can go into the sands where nothing's happening. Iron Flood. Oh, this is not next to a flame marker either. Oh, that's kind of bad. That's kind of bad, which means I can't actually do the thing in here. I can just Winds of Rust it next turn. Okay. I could do it in A2 instead. Because that wetlands is building. So Winds of Rust in C3 to stop that issue. It's a good place to hit because there's Dahan in there. They can take care of the Ravage for me. A6 is going to need to be hit with your Aegis. You have 2 Absorb Presence, so it's defend 4, which is barely enough, but it is enough. It's not a good place for you to browse in anger, is there? Unless I want to take an Earth. I think I do take the Earth. I could push the town. Yeah, actually, no, if I push the town... Yeah, then it dies to Fire and Flood at least. Or no, we're not hitting Fire and Flood into A4. Well, that's fine. We can not spend that energy so you can save it. And then I do the Fire and Flood thing. Okay. So we're gonna do Winds of Rust there. You probably don't want to reclaim next turn. Are we gonna give you a power card or energy? If you give you a power card, it has to be a free power, so it'd have to be, yeah. We can make that happen probably. Disease into C4 or Strife into C7 to prevent the Cascade if worst comes to worst, or what? If I reclaim with Serpent to move my presence in this A6, I could do Encompassing Ward. At which point I can then also do Aegis, and that defends this very easily. It might also just defend this. No, it won't, because it's defend 4 versus 6. Unless I Strife the city, in which case it is enough, but then I don't need Winds of Rust. There are a lot of issues with that build. Maybe not really. It's just C8 is the problem. I might need to save my energy for a Fire and Flood, in which case I don't take a power card, but I gain 4 energy, and I take energy growth. But then I can't Fire and Flood fast enough. If I Inflame into C3 and Strife the city, then I don't need to play Winds of Rust next turn. Which means that I could save the energy and instead take a power or something. Can we put a flame marker down? Those lands are potentially solved, so they're not really blighting. We have 1 spare blight. We do want to do, I guess, yeah, if we want to do the Ravage in C3, we need to put a flame marker down. I think I'm just gonna have you gain energy next turn instead of trying to play a 4th power. Is there any reason that I would want you to have full effect here? I'm just gonna strafe the city. Just so I don't have to Winds of Rust it next turn. So only 2 lands you can hit. I'll just take Fear. So most likely, I'm not in a winning state right now. John usually says, like, we're winning too hard, blah, blah, blah. This is not really feeling like we're winning. There are only 2 cities on the board. So if I do... Okay, we are 9 Fear from Terror level 3. If I do Winds of Rust and A7, that gets rid of one of the cities. And it also generates 1 Fear. Only 1 Fear, damn. So I need 8 more Fear. This Ravage is going to give me 3 Fear. So I'm 5 Fear off. And then I seem to have forgotten... No. All my Fears are fast. The build is gonna put cities down, right? City and C8. Where was the other city? C4. We do have a Crops Wither to remove the city from C4 at least. And next turn, if I reclaim, I can do Winds of Rust and C8. And I'm basically reclaiming next turn always. So if we don't lose the game this turn, then maybe we do win next turn. So maybe we are winning, but barely. It's not like we're showboating this game, is the thing. Which is why I don't feel comfortable, but we might be in a winning position after all. We have a Dissolve the Bonds we could also play. You are getting to your Earth. So we needed to defend A6 with actions, which is... Potentially, we reclaim and put a presence into A6. And that way I have Encompassing Ward on myself to defend 2. Plus Aegis to defend 4. And then we don't lose to that Blight. And Aegis into A5 also covers C3. So you're always playing Aegis. Defend 4 is theoretically enough for A6, but if they do plus damage on Ravage, that's bad. So you could theoretically, like, Shadows could theoretically gain a power card here if it's free. Like, any free card would do something, maybe. Because you can always afford Winds of Rust next turn. Well, Land of Haunts and Embers. That is free. That is free. But we had to do a flame marker in A5, so we're like, that's the only thing I can touch, but we're not using it. We're playing it, but not using it. I'll put myself in... Oh, I can't grow into that one. I can Winds of Rust it. Wait, where's the other city going? C4? It's kind of annoying that I can't grow into C8. I could have if I didn't take a power card. Whoops. Theoretically, I don't put the flame marker down and I spend energy to deal damage in C3. Give you another minor power. You have to play these always. Would another power be better than something else? You can't play another power card anyway. I can't afford that. Yeah, if I spend 2 energy to do the damage in C3 instead of putting a flame marker down, we do have a spare blight in the event that the event puts a blight down. But if the event puts a blight down, it's probably putting 2 blight down if I can't prevent it. But probably better to save the energy then. Any reason to do absorb essence? I'm not gonna hit any threshold, right? Is it gonna hit a threshold here? No. You need 2 waters. You don't have 2 waters. Or you can't get 2 waters, you can only get 1 more. You need a total of 3 waters, so... But logic, the card says 3 waters, read the card. No, I need 2 additional waters. I can only get 1 additional water from 1 absorb essence. That's what I was trying to say. I mean, Gift of Primordial Deeps could give a water, but I have to play both of these Aegises and encompassing wards for a 6 to be defended. Okay, I think if I don't put the flame marker there, I could get fear off this. Does that win us the game any faster? We have 1 fear here, we have 2 fear here, so we're at 3, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. We just need 1 more fear. Oh, and that's from A6. Oh, we might just win the game then. And if this gives me a moon and fire, which Lure of the Unknown exists, Growth Through Sacrifice exists, then we get the 3 damage effect, which can kill 3 explorers and give 3 fear. And that might just win the game also. So Gift of Primordial Deeps is then correct. Absorb Essence doesn't give you both a moon and a fire. This has to be free, I guess. So it has to be a free card that gives moon and fire, which actually, yeah, Growth Through Sacrifice and Lure of the Unknown does. Easy. This game is so easy. Remember I said I wasn't sure we were winning? Well, we figured out victory. Oh no, we didn't because I don't have the fear marker there. Oh. Oh, but I can just do an A4 instead. Right, okay. That's basically the same. Because the problem is that I can't actually kill things in A5 because I don't have energy on shadows to kill things. I guess we are still a fear off. So we are still, like, we still need to have the event, not end the game. Okay, so everything is defend surplus by 1, which means that the event could say deal 2 extra damage and it would be okay. To be safest, I can move a town out of C3. Since I'm not winning the game with Land of Haunts and Embers, well, we could get a sacrifice victory. We can get a sacrifice victory by targeting like A7. Because then we cascade Blight, which empties the Blight pool, but we also get... Oh no, we won't because the city's still on the board. We need the Ravage to happen. Okay, so I'm not doing Land of Haunts and Embers. Okay. So which one is more scary? I think there's an event card that says invaders do 3 extra damage and lands with sacred sites. I think. So I'm gonna remove this town out for safety. And then I'm not gonna do Land of Haunts and Embers. Ah. Return the top fear card to the box just wins it. You have to forget an air card. Which means I have to forget Land of Haunts and Embers. Aha! Oh, I need an extra energy. Okay. Because I've played Land of Haunts and Embers for an air, but I forgot it, so I lost that air. Oh no, it doesn't just win it, right? Well, we're not blading still, right? Buildings do +1 damage, so that's now 6 damage, but that's good enough still. Okay. Oh, but we also get fear off this, right? And there's also lots of stuff happening. It's fine. Add wilds to a land with Dahan. Cool. Remove explore town from any land. Awesome. So in case the game continues for whatever reason, we won't have a city there. We will not have a city there. Add strife in a land with reducing our beasts. Invaders skip all actions in lands with beasts. That would have been bad if there was a beast in C3. The game would have continued. But we would have crops withered the city at that point and been fine. Cool. Oh. We spent our energy. Okay, so I do have to do crops with her in the end. Thank God I did the smart thing and I removed the towns that were going to put cities on the board because the game was continuing. Where did we lose the energy from? Oh, because I spent the energy with Serpent to do the crops wither, or not, whatever it was. Not the crops wither. Yeah, because I spent that energy in order to do that event card effect. I didn't have the energy to do the Ravage effect. That's why. But we win the game with crops wither now. It was close. And I almost screwed it in the end. But we won! $65 points. So yeah. Yeah, as I was saying, we didn't really feel like we were winning until I noticed that we were almost at no cities on the board, and that there were no cities on the board almost. It felt like we weren't doing a good job of keeping the invaders in check, mostly because we couldn't actually do damage a lot of the time. We only put 2 flame markers down the entire game. One in this land and one in this land. So like these 2 lands and most of board C? A? I forget which board this was. Most of this board couldn't have been dealt damage. That scenario definitely made the game significantly harder. Because for one, we had to put extra blight on the board in order to deal damage. In most cases, we did have extra energy until that last turn where I screwed it up. But I don't know. I'm still not fond of this scenario. It definitely makes the game harder. So if your objective is to make games harder, then I guess that satisfies that goal. But it doesn't feel like a good scenario because most scenarios tend to be neutral, in my opinion. I mean, like, Guard the Owl's Heart is significantly easier. But like, Ward the Shores, I feel like that's a really good neutral one because sure, you get defend on coasts, but you have to spend energy to do it if there's any towns in there, and then stage 3 is a lot worse. So it's like net neutral in my opinion. Or like Rituals of Destruction? I forget which one, no, whatever is the, oh, Dahan Insurrection, that's the one I'm thinking of. Where like Dahan now deal damage when they push and gather, except invaders, you know, instead of towns and cities being destroyed, they just downgrade instead, and that makes the game feel more net neutral. This scenario just seems terrible. But I mean, you could make the argument that adversaries make the game terrible as well, but we like those because that's difficulty. I don't know. Hey, Games for Life Gamer, you're catching us at the end of a stream. I'm definitely not doing another one. We got 65 points with 9 blight on the island. We did get 1 blight removal card, and we did use it like 3 times, and we did need to use it in the end because we were down to 1 blight on the blight pool at the end. But yeah, this was definitely a hard match, and so it's a satisfying victory in the end, which surely gets a seal of approval from some people, right? I felt rather self-conscious by like the fact that unless I'm playing the hardest game imaginable, people are not going to take me seriously. I'm sure there's some like Spirit Island elitists out there that will say unless you're playing England 6 or France 6 or Russia 6 or something, then you're not really playing Spirit Island. You're playing simply something that's too easy. That's kind of like my insecurities coming out. But I think this game was definitely hard. Like, I mean, the fact that I won means it was too easy, right? Until you're at the point where you're losing all the time, then it's too easy, right? Would this stage 1 card have really changed things? I guess it, yeah, they would have gone to stage 3 faster. What if they started on stage 3? Pressure 6 seems terrible because the initial explorer hits half the board. But anyway, if you want to see exciting England 6, France 6, Prussia 6 action, then be sure to tune in more often and make those requests. Otherwise, I'm just gonna stick with what I do, which is around difficulty 10. I do think that at the highest level of difficulty, the game starts turning into more randomness than fairness, in a sense. Although I do like the granularity of difficulty in this game. You can decide how easy or hard you want your Spirit Island experience to be. If you just want to play a mindless game, you play at difficulty 0. If you want to play a brutally fiendish game that's very difficult to win, you play at difficulty 10. Or above. Anyway, I'm done soapboxing. Thank you for watching. This was Spirit Island Saturdays, as hosted by Logic Dolphin. We stream every Saturday at 2 p.m. Sometimes John joins us, sometimes Seamus joins us. Those people are both missing this week, but they should return soon. Check out the other streams we have on this channel. Every Monday at 7 p.m. is Dolphin's Dive with yours truly, where we will play Sentinels of the Multiverse or Spirit Island or One Deck Dungeon. Tuesday at 7 p.m. is Handelabra Live with John. Friday at 4 p.m. is Luck with Seamus with Seamus the Hug Monster. Tales from the Archive is currently on hiatus because Zach has just Zach did not give birth to, but Zach now has a daughter. Zach's wife has given birth to a beautiful baby daughter, and so he will be taking up fatherly duties for the time being. But that's okay, we still have 4 channels a week that you can experience. Check us out at twitch.tv/Handelabra Games or Handelabra on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can follow me personally at Logic Dolphin on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube, pretty much any avenue. Be sure to check out Handelabra products, which include Sentinels of the Multiverse, Bottom of the Ninth, One Deck Dungeon, Aeon's End, and Spirit Island, and they are all available on Steam, iOS, and Android devices. There will be the Sentinels of Earth Prime Kickstarter that will be starting up next week, I believe. Next Thursday, July 28th on Kickstarter. That will be when it'll be available. Well, not when it'll be available, but when the Kickstarter will be available. And I'm sure there'll be some stretch goals and incentives for all the sorts of things that they would like to have accomplished with Earth Prime Digital. Spirit Island multiplayer is still in active development. You can join the public multiplayer beta on Steam, and you can help provide for any fixes that need to be accomplished. If you want to see Jagged Earth, be sure to support Handelabra because they are a small company, and I think a lot of people kind of forget the fact that small indie companies exist and that not everyone can produce games in weeks. A lot of people don't have patience these days for things that should take time and will take time. And Handelabra does have a track record of producing quality content. There might be bugs in the games, but they do work their best to make sure that everything is in working order upon release. And that's why multiplayer is not out yet. You did not see any multiplayer bugs this week because we didn't play multiplayer this week, but you can check out the previous weeks of multiplayer action to see all the bugs that can arise. And you can hear from John all the ways in which multiplayer is a difficult beast to work around. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you all for watching, and have a good night, everyone.